Hi everybody, this is my classroom management plan, so let's go ahead and dive straight in. First off is my view of an effective teacher. So, what does that look like? Personally, for me, I think that this goes teaching one step further and not just focusing on the curriculum and the textbooks and the material, but also on truly making that classroom a safe place of comfort and openness and just honestly consistency. Um, a lot of the times I feel that we forget that our students have lives that are happening outside of the school ground as well, and this isn't always a positive experience for them outside of school. So I feel like it's really important to have that open area where they can feel safe to like make mistakes, where they can ask questions, where they can be curious without fear of retribution. But honestly, just having that safe net of this is where I can be at home outside of my house. So, um, I also have do you have an open mind? So, this ties in with being open to learning, not just to teach your students, but learning with your students as well. So, being able to see what is happening with them and adapting in that school environment with them, the same way that we would ask them to adapt with us. Next up is psychological needs. So, their basic needs, what are they? We all know the sleeping, eating, using the restroom, drinking water, having proper shelter, etc. Um, and these are all fundamental for human survival. Um, So, according to Jones and Jones on page 30 of the text, it reads unproductive behavior is therefore not viewed as an indication of a bad child, but rather as a reaction to the frustration associated with being in a situation in which one's basic needs are not being met. So, this is basically saying that when a child acts out, when students are not behaving the way that we would expect or desire, like what we want them to be behaving, this oftentimes is because one of these basic needs or multiple of these basic needs aren't being met. Until they have all of these needs met, we can't ask any more of them than simply to survive. Um, Up next is our adult and peer relationships. Here I have just three ways of kind of taking that step of creating those connections and building those relationships. So, honesty and trust really go together quite well. If you have honesty with your students and there's open dialogue that is clear and honest, and this can set up the paving stones to have a strong relationship where trustful communication can occur, and you're going to be seen as a safe pillar for them to go back to in their times of need. Another way to build a relationship as an adult with your students is being present. So, the same way that we said at the beginning, that they don't always come from supportive, safe, warm environments in the household, this is a really good way for you to be an adult that sometimes for the first time they feel that they can trust. You might be the only adult that has that simple moment of are they going to let you in? And a really easy, great way to do this is to see them as a person being present. Ask them about their games, ask them about something that you know that they're interested outside of school. If you know that they had a family get together and you just take the time to ask them how that went on Monday after the weekend, that can really impact them and it's going to open up doors for you and start setting up a good relationship. Standards and behaviors, what do they look like? So, creating expectations. Um, I had said that we could have set classroom expectations and then have room for those to be like expanded upon after a group discussion. So if you're starting off the new school year and you kind of want to feel what the vibe is with the class, you can show them those expectations. Hey, what do you guys think about this? Like, what's your take on this expectation? Where would you add to it? Like, what do you think you need to see more of in that expectation to understand what I'm asking of you and kind of keep yourself honest as well. Another expectation that I have for them is to always help in like keeping that safe environment and keeping it as an environment in which everyone is free to learn and make mistakes. So a really important step to this is to treat others as you want to be treated. If you're making mistakes in class or you're answering the question wrong, would you want everybody to point at you and be like, oh my gosh, you got it wrong? No, our kids are going to want them to be built up, to be supported. So obviously, we want everybody to know if you wouldn't want them to do that to you, when one of your peers answers a question wrong or stands up and says this or that, don't like point them out, don't make them feel worse about it. We can help each other build and learn without any negativity. And lastly, on this one, I have use your resources prior to asking a teacher. Thought it was super important because I've had teachers in the past who have said, when you come to me with a question, I want you to tell me what you've done to try to solve the problem first. So I think it's really cool to teach them, yes, you can always come to me, but I might not always be here. So do everything that you can possible to figure it out on your own before coming to me. Some procedures here I have. This is kind of, I've seen a lot of different takes on this one. So the pencil party. Everybody would have a journal and they would sit down in the morning and write how their morning went, if they need to vent about something that maybe happened because they don't have a great home life, or if something super exciting happened and they want to share that in their journal. They can do that. And then they'd also have to write out their expectations. What do you want to see from today? What do you want to change about today? If you came in with a bad mood, where do you see yourself making decisions that could change that and put you in a better mood to set you off for the rest of the day? These would be kept at school, just because I feel like it's just a safe place to keep them. And this would give me the chance to read them if they're comfortable with that. Otherwise, I would not. I always want to have that respect with my students, and if I had something personal and I didn't want them to read it, I would expect them to respect that as well. So this also just sets up for if any kids come in late, they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. They can sit down and they can get started without disrupting the class, hopefully without disrupting the class. A couple other procedures, just assignments, phone usage. So assignments, there would be the procedure of, if once there are assignments done in class, collect your materials, make sure your name is on it, turn it into your assigned tray. If there's a group project or we're sitting in like rows, if everybody's expected to get done around the same time, just pass your paper forward and the person at the front will either hand it to me and I'll put it in the bin, or we'll have everybody from the first person in each row go and put them in the bin, so it's not the whole class is going to the bin at once. Phone usage, I feel like I would probably just go off of school policy to keep myself a little bit safer. And then hopefully I don't have to worry about the consistency classroom to classroom. It'll hopefully be the same. And then this one continued a few more procedures. Emergency procedures, fire drill, tornado drill, lockdown, that kind of thing. Obviously, we'll practice the first day of class. We'll go over the first day of class on during those mandatory drills, and then there will be posted signs or a folder with the routines up for students to be able to go through or look at when they need to. Transitions. There's lots of different transitions, but I've really liked seeing like dismissal or changing during transitions by pod. So I feel like that is probably what I'll do. I really like the pod work or pod style classroom for like group work, discussions. If you have a question, ask your peer before you ask me. And then instructional procedures. So group discussions, note taking, test taking, etc. Those are pretty basic procedures that are implemented through a lot of classrooms. So, and then motivation and maximizing on-task behavior. So one really easy way to do this that is brought up a lot is relating content to students and their interests. The more they see how it relates to their everyday life, the more they're going to be involved, the more they're going to want to know so that they can be on top of it. Number 2, providing choices when it comes to assignments. This can be as simple as, hey, we just covered all this material. You have 2 options for your assignment so that I know that you get what I'm telling you. Say I'm teaching a social studies lesson and we just went over the Civil War. So then we can go ahead and do either like a booklet, like, hey, take our notes, and I want you to break it up into XYZ most important subjects that, or like content parts that you think are the most important, and turn that into me with this amount of pictures, this much information. Or we could even do something as simple as, here is a sheet and you're going to go ahead and take one important topic that you think from the Civil War, and I want you to have this many pictures, maybe do some captions for drawings, that kind of a thing. And then number 3 on this list would be providing timely feedback. So students are going to do it better when they know that you're going to get back to them, and when they know they are going to be presenting something to you that actually matters. So the more often you're getting feedback to them that is timely and actually like consistent with what is going over, they're gonna want to get that back from you, so they'll put in more effort for you. And number 7, responding to inappropriate behavior. Honestly, I am working a lot with some behavior students through a company here in town, and I've noticed a lot that with minimally disruptive behavior, if somebody's just kind of like whispering or fidgeting with their fingers, a lot of the time just minimizing attention to that works wonders. Like, they want attention, so if you don't give it to them, a lot of the times they're going to stop. And so I've noticed that is really helpful a lot. However, with more problematic behavior, it obviously can be important. If you're having difficulty on how to address something, seek advice. Teachers that have been in the teachers who have been around those kids more than you have, or teachers who have more experience in general than you can ask them for help. What should I do? How would you start addressing it? If it is becoming very severe, obviously we would want to refer these to appropriate resources, principal, counselors, etc. School-wide management. Personally, I feel like there are 2 positives and a negative to this. One is that this is going to be super, super helpful for those of us who are just entering the field, or those of us who struggle to create our own management systems. So if you're not sure, or you're not sure how severe or when to implement something, these can be really helpful. However, if it's something like, hey, go to the principal's office because you're doing XYZ, a lot of the times if students know, if I do this, I'm going to get sent to the principal's office, or I'm going to get sent to the office to sit and chill for a minute. This can be used as an escape. Hey, we're doing something I don't like and don't want to do. All I have to do is do this behavior and I'm going to get sent to the principal's office. I'm done and I don't have to do my work. That can become a problem. But on the other side, it can create consistency, which is very nice and is a positive, because you don't have to worry about different policies being implemented classroom to classroom, teacher to teacher, grade to grade. So my philosophy, honestly, is super sweet and simple. Being proactive is your best policy, utilizing your classroom management as much as possible so that you don't have to worry about you don't have to implement discipline as much, but always having a strong discipline plan in your pocket just in case you need to use it. So my reflection on management plans that I've seen, honestly, I feel like I see a lot of proactive teachers throughout my experiences going over classroom rules. If they're having a particularly difficult day with behaviors, when you're jumping from one assignment to another or a big transition, some teachers will go ahead and take the time in that extra 5 minutes to discuss, what am I expecting of your behavior? What am I expecting of your work ethic? What am I expecting for your time management for this assignment? And I feel like that can be really helpful in setting yourself up for success, and avoiding any problem behaviors or avoiding large problem behaviors when making big transitions. And I feel like that's something that I implement daily working with the kiddos that I work with right now, and it is very, very helpful. And yeah, I feel like communication and being open and honest and just kind of keeping that dialogue clear is really helpful to avoid any problem behaviors or confusion or miscommunication. And it becomes really, really important to stay consistent with your kids. So, thank you so much.